The different technological advancements these children were born into and are being exposed to constantly cause for the need for parents to put in extra efforts in order to be effective parents. Now, being an effective parent to the child in today of today is indeed a great and demanding task as a result of the fast pace at which the world is moving. Effective parenting for the children requires patience, knowledge, information, exemplary life, firmness, and much more. Now, we'll be talking about this, and we have a parent coach, an educator, and also founder of the Positive Parenting Academy. She is Boma Obaforibo. I hope I'm correct. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, and please forgive me if I murdered your name. What has changed in parenting before and now, what we have now? What is different about it?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me. I'll just start by introducing myself again. I'm Boma Obaforibo. I'm a positive parenting coach, an educator, and like you said, the founder of the Positive Parenting Academy, which is an online platform that empowers parents to raise well-rounded and balanced children using 21st century strategies. Okay, so I saw the need because a lot of parents currently struggle and they are still using the traditional methods, which you mentioned, I'll get to in a bit. So the positive parenting principle is one that recognizes that all children are born good and with the desire to do the right things, okay? And it emphasizes mutual respect, it emphasizes love, attention, and using positive ways to discipline, right? Now, it's not the traditional parenting because it requires a lot of patience, it requires a lot of practice, it requires a lot of persistence, okay? What has changed? We are raising a different generation of children, like you said. So we have the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, you know, and there are a lot of challenges they are facing right now. So I'm looking at it in two parts. So for this generation of children, they have different needs, and then there are different expectations as opposed to what we knew growing up. So they are very knowledgeable, they are tech savvy, and they want access. Okay, and some of the challenges we have in raising this generation of children is that there's a lot of distraction. Like you said, the media is distracting. Okay, we are also having issues with mental health, drug abuse, perverted sex education, things like other genders. It's a lot. It's confusing. For instance, if you go on Google now and type gender, you see a lot of options. So most of these things, they go into the world and they are confused on what to do, what information is right. So parents need to step in. They need to step up, okay, and help the children. So what we used to do before, things like flogging and shouting, it's not actually going to be working for this generation of children. It's not that our parents did it wrong. That was the only way they knew. But like they say, change is a constant thing, right? So that is what I do. I help parents come up with other ways.
But these traditional methods,
yes,
some will argue, has been largely responsible for why we have responsible people these days, adults who are, you know, doing very well, and the rest of them, the flogging you talk about, there's nobody that will be petting you or be trying to make you see reason or trying to talk you into doing certain things and all of that. It's basically simple. Once you go wrong, you get the rod, you know. So that's one thing that some parents will argue with you these days, and saying that it is the introduction of these new methods that has resulted in the kind of children that we have these days.
All right, so there's one question I would like parents to reflect on. Okay, so what is your goal? Is your goal for you to develop a connection with your child? Okay, or you want to be right? So take for instance, you want your child to do the right thing. Okay, so if I told you that it doesn't have to involve hitting, so when you talk about the rod, okay, so from my religion, my perspective, the rod is actually something used for guiding, like a shepherd. All right, you use it to guide, to lead, okay, to instruct. So it's not the literal flogging, which many people have misinterpreted. There are a lot of myths, okay, that surround parenting, trust me. And you find out that eventually you are not actually having a relationship with your child. So most of the things they struggle with, they don't come telling you because they are scared. So the goal is not to instill fear. The goal is for you to do what you can so that even while you are not there, they are doing the right thing. Okay, so that's the paradigm shift that I'm trying to establish. The mind shift that it doesn't have to be flogging. It doesn't have to be shouting, but you can still get the results and even better. Because the world we live in now, they have an agenda to take the minds of our children in so many ways. They are coming subtly in things like cartoons, even for preschoolers. They've even publicly declared that they will be infusing, you know, this LGBTQ and all of that.
Same sex
So
ideas.
if they have a mapped out agenda, we are just sitting down and saying, okay, it has to be flogging and shouting. Trust me, when you get to talk with these children, there are many things that they may not be telling the parents, you know. So why don't you do it another way? You will still get the same results, but you don't have to be physical. You don't have to be violent.
No, but it's not a question of I'm just going to harp on what he has just mentioned. I mean, like the traditional methods seem to have worked.
Really?
For well, I mean, most of us here are products of the traditional method, and I wouldn't say I turned out badly.
Well, there are parameters. There are parameters to actually
and it's actually easier because all you needed was a stern look and a pair of slippers, and everybody falls into line. So what I'm saying is, how can you get people to change their mindset into doing this modern day kind of parenting that you're talking about, which seems to be more difficult than the simpler traditional method that I was just alluded to? I mean, like, you do this, you get this. If you don't do it, you get that. I mean, like, it's easier, but this one is more difficult. So how do you get people to change their mindset?
It requires a lot of understanding, really.
Exactly, and
yes.
a lot
so
of
blurry lines here and there.
So from all you've been saying, I've picked out a lot. It just shows that parents don't want to do the extra. They just want the easy way out. Okay, that's just what I've taken from all you've said. So you need to understand that parenting is the biggest responsibility that anyone could have. And that is why it's not, it's a choice.
And parents, parents have more bigger responsibilities again at the same time. I mean, not to say that parenting or raising children is not a huge responsibility, but I'm talking about now the bills now. The parents seem to have more financial burdens to deal with in these days. And so you find that there's very little time to, you know, to do some of the things that you are talking about.
So we have,
you have a situation where both parents,
society,
the father and the mother, are all busy trying to look for money to pay for the bills. So,
so that it still brings me to the same thing. You know, parenting, okay, that you're a father or a mother doesn't actually make you a parent. If you understand that parenting is intentionality, okay, so that is why if you must have children, you should come together with your spouse and take the decision that I have time. So that's what I tell my parents when we have our sessions. I have time to parent my child, because this form of parenting will require that you need to actually know who you're parenting. Make the extra effort, which most parents are not willing to do, sadly. And like you said, oh yes, we turned out well. But let me say something from personal experience, okay? So these were some of the things I also went through. it was difficult trying to express freely everything that I had to go through my preteen, teenage years, and a lot of criticism. So some of the, apart from shouting and flogging, there's a lot of criticism that comes with traditional parenting, shaming. So why can't you be like this, your peers? Why can't you do this and that? So I saw that replaying in my parenting journey. And it was distancing there was a distance between me and my child, and I did not want that. Okay, so many things that I didn't know, I would hear from somebody else because of the fear of criticisms and all of that. And beyond that, you know, think about how you are raising a well-rounded child, because that was what I said at the beginning. We have a lot of issues of drug abuse, mental issues. Children just commit suicide, or you stumble on things that they've been doing online that you did not know about, and then you're still thinking, okay, I'm going to continue with the same way I've been parenting. Trust me, research has shown that positive parenting has fewer behavioral problems, which I can attest to because that is what I practice, and then my parents as well. So parents need to be more responsible. It's a duty. It's not about paying bills, okay? Children need that connection. Tomorrow they will not remember the money that was spent on school fees. They will remember the toys that were bought, but the time that was spent and the connection that they had.
You know, the issue of parenting is one very complex issue. In the sense that there's a lot of relativism that is involved in this, a lot of complexities in the sense that it has to do with beliefs, values, and ideologies that people share. And basically, they want to transfer that to their children. And so it varies. There's no this standard principle, so to say, of raising children. However, maybe we should distinguish between some of the traditional practices that we've had and the tendencies for abuse against children. Maybe those are some of the things that are resulting in the kind of negativity that we see. So perhaps if you could, you know, talk more on that.
All right. So I just want to say this, that parenting thrives on principles, okay? So, but it would also interest you to know, okay, this flogging that we have clinged on to.
You seem to be very particular about the flogging part.
That we've clinged on to, you know, and have taken it personal. It's actually not, it did not originate from Africa, okay? So it came from the Western world, and there was a basis for it. I'm just trying to take you back, you know, because there are some things that we practice over many generations. It has come to stay. And until we bring awareness to what we are doing and say, okay, this is not me. This is something that was passed on. What if I can do something else? That is the narrative we're trying to change. So just for you to note that. So now, like I said, parenting is based on principles, just like any other thing, okay? It's not based on emotions. It's not based on how you feel today and tomorrow. They are principles. And once you follow those principles, you are very certain that you will get exactly the results you desire, just as it is with any other thing in life. There are principles in finances and all of that. So each parent should look back and think, what is it I want
but you know,
for my child? Because
yes,
every parent has his own expectations. They have their own, the things that they want their child to be, or they want them to be in the future. Like tomorrow, this is how I want my child to be. Think about it and then see, okay, what can I do sustainably that I won't be stressed, I won't have to lose sleep over, but I will still get the same results. So I would just ask parents that question. But what I would say is the 21st century strategies, you know, that will help you, you have to have at your core connection. So it's a daily thing. It takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes to do. Parents are complaining that they don't have time. Well, that's a story for another day.
Connection with your child. No?
Connection. And
establishing that relationship
skills.
And that friendliness.
Yes, skills. So instead of beating your child, skill up. Instead of beating up your child, skill up your child. Because it's easier to parent a skilled child. So that you come and you don't have to, if your parenting is full of instructions, do this or you get that, do this, you threaten. then you have not done a good job. You haven't done well. But if you are able to live and then your child can do the right thing because they know, okay, he who knows why is better than he who knows how. They know that this is why I need to do this because of this. So a lot of parents shy from this because they know that they need to put in the work. They know that they need to put in the work. But it's a mandate.
All right.
You've been given a responsibility
the bottom
to
line
raise
from
a child.
the
okay?
bottom line from what I think you are saying is that you need to raise children with love. You discipline them with love.
That's positive discipline.
Yes, you do that. You teach them with some, not to be so hard on them, but try to be understanding that these are children, and that sometimes learning certain things takes some time. Okay.
So let me just add to that. Sorry, I mentioned that you need to consider needs, temperament, and their developmental stage. So, for instance, there are many reasons children misbehave. Okay, so if you say your child is throwing tantrums, in the public, it may be that maybe they need attention, or the other sibling, you are doing more for the other sibling than them. Or it could even be that they are hungry. There are many reasons, but parents will just, because they don't want to be embarrassed in the public, they just quickly shout down on the child, beat the child, just to keep the child quiet. But having understanding of some of these things, you come even from a place of empathy. So most of the parents I work with, I first emphasize that they need to have emotional intelligence, okay, for you to be able to deal with your child. Then we talk about developmental stage. There are different stages in a child's development. There are some things you don't expect a certain child to do, because of that stage. And then temperaments as well. So positive discipline is not, don't get me wrong, children require discipline, okay? They need discipline, they need predictability, they need a process, okay? They need to know that today, this is what I need to do. And there are also consequences that come with positive. So positive discipline has three parts. There's this preventive, where you create an environment where it's less likely for them to misbehave. Then there's the consequence, where some natural consequences, for instance. So something like if you fail to pack up your toys, then you don't get to play with those toys. So there's no point hitting them. You just take away the toys. And they know that's a consequence,
All right.
So, and then there are skills to teach. So for instance, if a child is not able to share with friends, it's a skill you need to teach them. Those are social skills. So that's why I talk about connection, skills, and then other forms of positive discipline.
All right,
and it's rewarding.
All right. It is,
Trust me.
I believe so. It's rewarding. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak.